evening, everybody. Welcome back to the third round of the League Zero Racing Series, the premier Formula 3 iRacing League. My name is Jacob Fascannon here with Team Goose Squad. Proud to bring you this third round coverage from the Japan Grand Prix here at Fuji Speedway. We're going to be running our feature race here momentarily. Drivers are going to be working their way onto the grid. We've got a healthy field, 25 cars out tonight. Going to get you the starting lineup for your feature race. They're going to be doing 24 laps here on this 2.78 mile road course. Starting lineup's going to be the 11 winner from last week, Reed Gibson on the pole, Finley Fitzsimmons 16 starting second, Russell Soto in the 50 starting third, Micah Barnett 59 starting fourth, Michael Chow 66 starting fifth, Jake Duckwall 99 starting sixth, Jack Mundy 2 starting seventh, Justin Sang 68 starting eighth, John Kasai the 3 starting ninth, Antonio Bianchi 17 starting 10th, Nick Beaver in the 10 starting 11th, Pete Thickett in the 84 starting 12th. Going back through the rest of the grid, you see Gareth McAllister, our favorite Australian, the 25 starting 13th. Jared Ziegler, the 57 starting 14th. Michael Fairchild, the 88 starting 15th. Peter Reidinger, the 44 starting 16th. Xavier Zainabi, the 12 starting 17th. We've got Edward Frederick Bittner starting 18th and 61. Felipe Sarkis, 4 starting 19th. Blaine Sparling, 9 starting 20th. Jay Shirley, 92 starting 21st, Norman King 28 starting 22nd, Jeff Murphy starting 23rd, Nick Terrell starting 24th, and last but not least, Felipe Ramos starting 25th. Going to get a view on Reed as we're going to be getting ready to go here momentarily. Drivers are going to have 24 laps or 45 minutes, whichever comes first. Lights are off, and they are off and rolling. Gibson getting the jump here as they work their way down the very long front stretch into the sharp turn number 1. Gibson going to be leading Fitzsimmons and Barnett. Looks like Fitzsimmons has a bit of an issue there early on, so that's going to allow, or excuse me, that was Barnett. Looks like in the 59 machine, so it's going to be Gibson, Fitzsimmons, Duckwall, and Barnett as they roll into the infield portion of this course. Gibson quickly out to a substantial, almost full second lead over Fitzsimmons. Go back through the field is Jake Duckwall, falling back a little bit, trying to work his way up. He's in the 99 machine. He out right behind Micah Barnett to third. Fitzsimmons with a bit of an issue. You see Antonio Bianchi going for a wreck. We've got a big wreck there that's going to create chaos. Bianchi trying to get it rolling around. Looking at Bianchi here as he's working his way through out portion, time penalty portion of the chicane there. Justin Sang involved in that. Edward Thickett, Pete Thickett, Edward Bittner involved in that. Kasai involved. Quite a few drivers having issues early on here. We'll try to grab replays as we catch a break. Remember, again, if drivers do have to take a tow, that does end their race, so drivers will be having issues if they do have to make it on the pit road. A few issues. We're going to try to grab correct paints for everybody. Should see those pop up momentarily. Sorry about that. But Gibson extends his lead out to almost 2.5 seconds now. Go back through the field, look back at 57 and Jared Ziegler. See him. His car color should be showing up momentarily. Looks like the 17 of Antonio Bianchi, your first casualty on pit road. Finley Fitzsimmons also out. He's scored in 25th. Bianchi scored in 24th. Look back through the field. Michael Chow, number 66 machine, trying to work to the left side of our favorite Australian, Garrett McAllister. You see McAllister working his way on the backstretch. Working their way into turn number 12. First chicane into the quick short shoots for turn 13 and 14. It's a little bit of a more flowy section to the track, but still a little bit of a slower section overall. As they set up hard right-hander back on the very, very long front stretch. Very important for these drivers to nail this corner in order to carry as much speed as possible. Drivers starting to get spread out a little bit, but we still got some battles on the track. Look at a 3-car pack here. This is led by the 12 of Xavier's Nave, excuse me, 4 of Felipe Sarkis, Xavier's Nave, and the 12. They're working the right-hand side, left-hand side down the front stretch. And you've got the 61 of Edward Bittner, who had issues early on. He's trying to recover. Bittner and Nave on the left-hand side going into turn 1. Sarkis on the right-hand side, the Ford machine. Sarkis takes the preferred line, comes out ahead. This is a battle for 14th, 15th, 16th on the course. Not sure if Bianchi, I think he actually was able to drive onto pit road to collect repairs, so he is not out, just being scored on pit road waiting for those repairs. And drivers do not have a fast repair in this, so keeping their cars clean is of the utmost importance. Work back up through the field as we've got a little bit of a battle brewing between 99 of Jake Duckwall and the 57 of Ziegler. You see Duckwall get a little loose there into the chicane. This is a battle for 5th and 6th. Ziegler running right behind Duckwall, trying to cross over, get to the right-hand side, and work their way back into turn 14 and 15. Up the hill, turn 16. See Duckwall taking about a 2-car length advantage over Jared Ziegler as they work their way onto the front stretch. Let's go on board with Ziegler as he tries to chase Duckwall. Go for a lap here around Fuji International Speedway. Lap number 4 of 24. As he's taking advantage of the tow off of Duckwall. Going to work to the right-hand side. He's going to go into the hard left-hander. Daiichi. It's turn number 1. Full throttle turn number 2. Working down the straightaway into turn number 3, known as the Coca-Cola corner. A little bit of a break back on the throttle, still pretty quick. Now into the 100 radius, turn 4 and turn 5. Out of there, back into turn number 6. A little bit of an oversteer there, correction for Ziegler. Does a good job keeping it straight, getting back on the throttle, works his way out of turn number 7, down the straightaway into turn number 8. Go through to Dunlop corner into turn number 10. This leads them into the chicane, which is comprised of turn 10, 11, and then this right-hander out of it, turn number 12. Quick straightaway into the right-hander into turn number 13. Back into the left-hander, turn 14, which sets up Nets corner, turn 15. A little bit of an overshot corner there, slid a little bit, pushed out. Sets him up for the late apex into turn 16, Panasonic corner. Back onto the very long front stretch. You see him using all the track, getting onto the curbing. Their lap time is right around the 1:34 range. Quick drivers, 135s to 136s through the rest of the field. You saw Duckwall take advantage of that draft, pop back up. Duckwall now going to work the right-hand side back into turn 1. We're just going to flip rolls from the previous lap. Duckwall going to try to take 5th back away from Ziegler. They're going to go side by side out of turn 2. Duckwall on the right-hand side, Ziegler on the left-hand side. 57 machine. Ziegler flipping the corner. Duckwall falls in behind. Looks to grab the toe off Ziegler, try to keep himself close. And this is battles for 5th and 6th on track. This is all about 3 seconds behind the 10 and Nick Beaver. Your top 3 right now, 11 Gary Gibson. He's got a massive 4.5 second advantage. Micah Barnett, 59 second. Jack Mundy in the 2, running in 3rd right now. There. Continue to have a little bit of a battle here. We're going to go back through the field as Michael Fairchild and Peter Reidinger engaged in a battle. You see Reidinger in the 44 machine trailing behind the 88 white, green, and black machine of Fairchild. Those two work their way onto the front stretch. Fairchild with about a 3/10 advantage over Ridinger. This is for 11th and 12th on track. Ridinger gonna look to use the right-hand side into turn number 1 long. Front stretch does allow for everybody to try to grab a toe, take advantage of getting by an opponent. See Ridinger not quite as good of an exit out of turn 1 and 2, so that allows Fairchild to try to pull back to the left-hand side. He thinks better going into turn 3, falls back behind Ridinger, pushes a little wide, loses some time to Ridinger. Ridinger opens the gap up to about 6/10 of a second now over Fairchild. He's still got a second and a half to go to try to get to Michael Child in the 66. Occupies 10th place. Fairchild is running in 12th. As a reminder, after this feature race, we'll take a brief intermission, and then we will invert your top 12 finishers. Your first place finisher from this feature race will start 12th. The sprint race, 12th place finisher will go to the pole. Well, looks like John Kasai in the 3 had a bit of an issue, overshot the hairpin or the chicane, had to take the side road, cost him some time. We may see possibly a slowdown penalty out of him. He may be trying to bleed that off. It's going to allow Michael Chow to close up to him. Chow now just 6/10 of a second back. This for 9th and 10th. Kasai started 9th. Keeps himself there. Gibson with your fast lap of the race the last time by 1:13.14. Russell Soto pits out of 8th place. The 50 machine, your first driver on for green flag stops. Drivers all expected to make one green flag stop at some point throughout the race. We'll see how everybody elects to spread that strategy out. We saw last week those drivers hitting somewhere around the halfway portion. Silverstone. See if the same holds true tonight here for this feature race. Go up through the field. So you got Jack Mundy trying to chase down Nick Beaver. He's 6/10 of a second back. Mundy trying to put himself into the final podium spot for this feature race. Be a 3-car battle almost for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. As Micah Barnett's not too far ahead. All drivers are separated by about 6.5 of a second in this battle. See Barnett working his way into turn number 16 now. Up the hill onto the front stretch. 16 such a deceptively long corner. You have to be careful to not apex it too early in order to carry as much speed down the front stretch as possible. Drivers need to be cautious not to turn in too early, but it can be tempting if you're trying to set an overtake on your opponent. You want to turn in early and take that line away. This all happening about 6 seconds behind Reed Gibson as he continues to set the pace here tonight. He qualified on the pole, took advantage of a great start. All the way, Michael Child 66, likes to come to pit road. Just saying, also on the pit road. Back through the fields. We've got a good battle here. 84 of Pete Thicket, 12 Xavier Zinave, 28 of Norman King. Norman King trying to take over that 12th final inversion spot. Take that away from Xavier Zinave. Thickett's about half a second ahead. Norman King's about half a second behind. Just behind them is the 4 Felipe Sarkis. He's kind of gone to the back of the field and try to work his way back up as well. Thicket not pulling too far out away from Zinave as they work their way through the hairpin. 10, 11, and 12. Back into turn 13. With a little bit of a tighter line there through 14, 15. Trying to shorten the line up, close as much as he can to Zainavi. Micah Barnett, 59, coming on the pit road. 16 laps to go as Reed Gibson leading the way. Lap number 9 here of 24. Just past the third mark of tonight's feature race. Looking like they are doing good on time. Shouldn't hit that time limit yet unless something substantial happens. Causes a full course caution, which is unexpected right now. The way everybody's running. Zainabi does get by Thicket. So it's going to put him into 10th. Norman King takes over 12th. Micah Barnett pitting out of top 5. See Thicket try to grab a toe off of Zainabi. They work their way quickly into the hard left-hander. Oh, Bianchi, just as he comes out of pit road, has a bit of an issue again. Just not having luck that he was looking for tonight. Trying to rebound from some issues last week. Still very early on in the season, though. Round number 3 this season of the League Zero Racing Series. Glad to have you all on board if you just tuned in. We're at lap number 10 of 24 of tonight's feature event. Reed Gibson has led the way from the drop. The green flag. He's got almost 7-second advantage over 10 of Nick Beaver. Qualified 11th, has worked his way up through some traffic and issues pretty well. Got the car clean so far. Jack Mundy, 3rd. Place runner right now occupying that final podium spot. Still got a great battle here between Thicket and Zainabi. Zainabi working the left-hand side into turn 1. Thicket takes over 10. Clear IMSA, 5 out of 3 car lengths ahead of Zainabi. Down into turn number 3. See who carries more momentum out of that. Looks like pretty dead even last time by. I think it was slightly slower, but just found toe off of the front stretch to get by Zainabi. Once he gets by, opens it up to a half-second gap. He's running well so far here, putting himself into 10th place. Chicane, 10, 11, and 12. It's a bit of a tight chicane, so it's going to be a little bit tougher to create passes there compared to something like bus stop at Watkins Glen or Daytona International. Those are ones that I think of. They're a little bit more open, a little bit easier to try to set up passes on your opponents. Back through the field, as you see Jay Shirley, 92 machine trailing just behind Felipe Ramos. Looks like Shirley going to elect to come to pit road. Pete Thicket, 84, also coming on the pit roads. Oh, we had a battle brewing there, but not quite. Go back up to your race leader, Reed Gibson. He's got himself a pretty substantial gap, now just under 7.5 seconds. Last time by was about 0.3 of a second faster than your second place runner, Nick Beaver. On pace with your two fastest drivers, Micah Barnett, setting a quick time the last lap. But Gibson has just commanded this race so far. Works his way up through turn number 16. Back on front stretch, work his way to the stripe. Gonna put 11 laps on the books. We're gonna have 13 laps to go here. Back as we got a battle, 9th and 10th again. Zainabi has Peter Reitinger in the 44 trying to close up on him. They're gonna work their way through turn number 16. Back onto the front stretch. We'll see if Reitinger can grab a toe off of Zainabi. Try to take advantage of that. He's half a second back, and he's got Felipe Sarkis 0.7 of a second behind him. All three drivers still have not yet made their pit stop. this feature race. Sarkis electing to dive off, comes onto pit road. So leave us with 9 drivers so far that have completed, or 8 drivers, excuse me, on the late lap that have completed their pit stops here. We're still trying to chase down to Zainave, so half second back. Work their way back into turn number 4 and 5, and into the hard left hairpin 6 and 7. You're keeping that gap pretty steady, about a half a second. Zainave trying to hold him off the best that he can. Reidinger trying to stay as close to Zainave to take advantage of that toe. See Reidinger in the yellow, green Tommy Hilfiger Hitachi machine. Zainave in the black silver machine. Zainave closes it up to 4. Reidinger closes it up to 4/10. Their way back through 14 and 15. Gibson sets the fastest lap of the race last time live with a 134 flat. It's just clicking off laps. Although the gap has kind of started to stabilize, stayed just under 8 seconds. It's growing at a pretty quick rate. Nick Beaver has been able to sustain it a little bit now. Looking for Reidinger to try to get that run down the front stretch on Zainave. You see him closing in, has it down to just 0.2 of a second now, good for about 2 car lengths. Not quite there though to be able to look to the right side of Zainave as they work their way back through 1 and 2. Gap's back to 0.4 of a second. Work their way into turn 4 and 5 here. Zainave still holding it pretty steady between 4 and 0.5 of a second. Although Reidinger comes up with a really good exit there out of 7. Closes the gap now down to 0.3 of a second. Good for about 3 car lengths. Trying to take advantage of a toe behind Zainave. Trying to put himself there. Oh, almost gets into the left rear. Zainave has to take a late entry into this chicane to avoid getting into him. Avoid going off track. A little bit of a left front lockup there. Can't imagine that's not going to heat up his tires a little bit for Reidinger. Reduce some of that grip for a little bit while he tries to cool them back down. We'll see if he elects to come on the pit road. Cool those tires down. Looks like he does just that. Maybe fakes a bit of a pit entry. Like he was going to jump to the right-hand side to jump in the pit road, but fakes that a bit. So top 12 drivers still on the track have not pit yet. Highest driver that has pitted is the number 59 of Micah Barnett in 13th place right now. Able to spread out quite a bit all across. It's a 2.8 mile course here, 16 turns. Oh, Felipe Ramos with an issue. Looks to be somewhat clean, so may have just been an off-track moment for him rather than an actual spin. Keeps it going. He's in 12th place. Currently holding on that last spot. The inversion you see though. 59 of Micah Barnett trying to take advantage of his pit stop earlier here. Came in on lap number 8. One of the early drivers to pit. Saw a host of drivers come in and then stop, and just as I say that, Ramos goes sliding off the track, completely misses the chicane, has to slow down, get through, allows Micah Barnett by him, so put Barnett up to 12th, Ramos back to 13th. Back to battle again for 9th and 10th between Zainave and Reidinger. It's Jake Duckwall enters pit road for his service. Pits out of the 7th place. Reidinger going to try to take a look. He's close enough. They're going to run side by side into turn 1. Reidinger working the right-hand side, holding tight to that curbing. Zainavi holding tight to the left-hand side of the track. Go back through turn 3. We'll see who has the advantage. Zainavi does clear Reidinger. We're going to go single file back through turn 3. Reidinger just 0.2 of a second back. Trying to take a tighter line, pick up a little bit of a run. Zainavi trying to take a little bit of a later apex, carry a little more momentum off the corner back into 6. Heavy braking here into 6 and 7. See who pushes it out a little bit wider to carry momentum. Looks like Zainavi opens the gap back up to 0.4 of a second. Reidinger doing all he can to try to get by Zainavi, but Zainavi's been holding off the charge. Reidinger for the last couple of laps worked their way into the chicane. Looks like Reidinger possibly overshooting that exit a little bit, allows Zainavi to open that gap up. Now down to 0.6 of a second. Nick Beaver pits out of second place. Puts Jack Mundy up to second. We'll see if that forces any of the other front runners to consider pitting. Still the battle back here, back onto the front stretch. Fairchild, Zainavi, Reidinger. Blaine Sparling trying to insert himself into this. Zainavi pulls away big time from Reidinger. He's a full second ahead now. Blaine Sparling half a second back. Beaver comes off pit road from his service. Puts him back to 9th. He slots in between Reidinger and Sparling. Jake Duckwall back in 11th after his pit service as well. So now your top 8 still have to come to pit road for their service. Jump back here. Blaine Sparling in the 9, trying to close down Nick Beaver. It's just over a second and a quarter back. Sparling holding down 10th place, chasing Nick Beaver for 9th. He's got a pretty comfortable margin ahead of Jake Duckwall. Duckwall 11 seconds back. 11th. Jack Bundy in the 2 pits out of second place. Everybody up. Spot that was in the top 5. Bundy's on pit road here. So Fairchild should get by him. Zainavi likely to get by him as well. See where Bundy exits out of pit road. Off and rolling. Ready to resume onto the racing surface. He slots back out, 10th place. 6.5 seconds behind Blaine Sparling. Jump back up as Reidinger only leading Nick Beaver now by half a second. Trails Xavier Zainavi by just under a second and a half. Trying to close up on Reidinger. Beaver started in 11th place tonight, up 3 spots right now, pitted under lap 15, so he expects Reidinger to come in at some point as we're working lap 18 here. Approaching the 2/3 mark of tonight's feature event. Now with just a 0.2 of a second advantage as Beaver's working all over the back bumper of Reidinger. Closed up to Zainavi a little bit, cut off a 10th or 2. It's like Reidinger now going to come onto pit road. Beaver's going to work by him on the front stretch. Xavier Zainavi also on pit road. John Kasai, Michael Fairchild all on pit road. So that's going to leave Gibson, Ziegler, McAllister, Beaver, Sparling, your top 5. Excuse me, Beaver pitted. Gibson, Ziegler, McAllister all have to pit so far. spread out quite a bit as well on the track. Back through as Micah Burnett trying to work his way to the back bumper of John Kasai. That pitted earlier on lap number 8. Kasai was in on lap 17. Kasai up 1 spot, started 9th. Burnett down 4 spots. Works front of Kasai, takes over 8th place. Get his way out of 7th and 8th. Approach turn 9 here. He's got about 3.5 seconds to go to try to get to the 99 of Jake Duckwall. Reed Gibson, Jared Ziegler pit out of 1st and 2nd. Garrett McAllister looks like he's going to stay out on track and inherit the lead momentarily. It's going to open up a pretty substantial lead. He's got 23.5 seconds on Nick Beaver, scored 4th right now. Looks like he will likely jump Jared Ziegler for 3rd. Reed Gibson was able to pull out, hang on to 2nd. So Nick Beaver does move his way up to 3rd. Gibson back to 2nd. But McAllister, your race leader right now, still yet to make his pit stop here. It's one of your last remaining drivers take or stop. It's like just 2 drivers on the track still left to make that. That's Gareth McAllister in the lead. Jeff Murphy was your other remaining driver, but he does come on the pit road now. So, Gareth, lone Australian in the field, the lone driver left to make his pit stop. See if he's going to elect to do it this time as he works his way into turn number 16. This is just behind the 73 of Felipe Ramos. Ramos with some issues here. Looks like McAllister does dive off to the right side to the pit road entry. Gonna surrender to Reed. As Reed Gibson works his way onto the front stretch. Also saw Antonio Bianchi, Nathan Simmons still on pit road. Both of those drivers out of tonight's feature race. Gibson takes back the lead. He's got a almost 9.5 second advantage now over Nick Beaver. Gareth McAllister, though, able to slot his way out. Falls back to 6th place, but still up a few spots from the start. As he cycles back now, it's your current top 5. Gibson in the lead, Beaver in 2nd, Jared Ziegler 3rd, Jack Mundy 4th, Jake Duckwall 5th. So Ziegler able to jump ahead of Mundy. Back. So we've got another battle back on track. Seems like I've been calling this for the middle portions of the feature event. Saber Zainavi and Peter Reigener going to battle. Reigener 4/10 of a second back. It's for now 10th and 11th. So Felipe Sarkis holds down 12th and final spot for the invert. Following the conclusion of this feature event, we've got 5 laps to go, soon to be 4 laps as Gibson's back on the front stretch. It seems like Zainavi and Reidinger have not been able to get away from each other all race long. Driving cleanly around each other, no contact, no dive bombs or anything malicious, just good hard battles, but these two just seem to stay glued to each other, where we've seen other drivers move back and forth through the field. Looks like Reidinger overshot the entry there, the chicane, and to lock up that left front a little bit to try to slow the car down. Allows Zainavi to pull out 3/4 of a second more on Reidinger, as he's just under a 1.25 seconds. Felipe Sarkis just under a second back. Oh, Reidinger trying to work his way out of that 12th position. Also got Blaine Sparling in the 9, towing behind as well. So 4 drivers all within a couple seconds of each other. Sparling, running 13th right now, wants to grab that 12th place spot so he can be your pole sitter for the sprint race. Ave still holding off the charge of Reidinger. Reidinger closing up. He's got it under a second. Sarkis 3/4 of a second behind Reidinger. Sparling falling back a little bit. Second and a half back off of Sarkis. Much closest battle on track. 10th, 11th, 12th. Work their way back through the chicane. Gaps closed up. Reidinger down to just 3/4 of a second. Sarkis holding you right around 3/4 of a second. Reidinger, Sarkis seem to have a little more pace than Zainavi, but Reidinger just not been able to close the deal every time he gets close to Zainavi. Either overshoots a corner, he's just unable to complete the pass. We've seen great battles here. Back down the front stretch, we'll see. Driver can try to grab toe. Sarkis gonna try to work the right side of Reidinger. These two are gonna go into a battle now for 11th and 12th. This is allowing Zainavi to pull away a little bit. These two are engaged in the battle. We'll see if that also allows Sparling to try to close up. Reidinger lets Sarkis go. Understands that on that left side, that is not the preferred entry into turn 1. Try to set up a pass here. Turn 3 is not the best place to do it. It's such a high-speed corner. It ends up kind of becoming a one-line corner. It's just too quick of a corner to try to cross over on your opponent, so driver's wisely electing not to push the issue there. His goal is to try to stay as close to Sarkis as he can. Keep within striking distance so that if Sarkis either makes a mistake, Reidinger can capitalize on it, or try to stay close enough to take a line away into the corner. You're coming out of the chicane, might be a good spot to close up. Set up a pass, possibly the inside. Turn 16 down the long front stretch. Sarkis pulled away 4/10 of a second now as they work their way through 14 and 15. Reidinger trying to carry as much momentum as he can. Looks like he takes a little bit of an earlier entry. I think it's going to allow Sarkis with a little more momentum out of turn 16 onto the front stretch. Gap opens up to 1/2 of a second. Let's see what happens. Reidinger closing up slightly. Using that toe down the front stretch. Zainavi, almost a second and a half of these two. So Reidinger trying to grab 11th if he can from Sarkis, but knowing that he wants to defend 12th more than he wants to grab 11th. Since that'll put him as your pole sitter in the sprint race. 2 laps to go here. Gibson pulling onto the front stretch. We're going to be getting a white flag here soon. Saw a bit of a hectic start, but it's been pretty clean since then. The driver's having a bit of an issue with some lockups into corners and trying to overtake competitors, but it's really settled down fairly quickly, and only 4 drivers out of this feature race. Even 21 on the track, all 21 on the lead lap still. So great job on these drivers. We're gonna go up though, so we've got a battle brewing. Final podium spot here. Jack Mundy took it away momentarily from Jared Ziegler as they worked their way out of 16, but Ziegler and Mundy, oh, they make contact, they touch. That sends Mundy for a spin into turn 1, goes across the track. Doesn't hit the retaining wall, so it doesn't seem like too much damage to Mundy's vehicle. He's going to get it backed up, turned around, rejoin, falling all the way back to 8th place there. Tough battles. We saw almost contact coming down the front stretch into turn 1, and then they did. Right side of Ziegler touching the left side of Ziegler touching the right side of Mundy. Mundy for the worst goes sliding out with that. Puts Ziegler into third. He's got Jake Duckwall just a second behind him. Duckwall with Micah Barnett only 0.6 of a second back, so mistake here, the late stage of this easily could cause issues for any of your podium finishers. Reed Gibson, they bring it across the start-finish line here. He's gonna grab your race win for tonight's feature race. Nick Beaver gonna grab second place, up 9 spots after starting 11th. Looks like Ziegler gonna hold off Duckwell and Barnett. So Ziegler gonna come home third here. Duckwall gonna come home in fourth. Barnett gonna come home in fifth as they work their way across the start-finish line. Michael Chow side by side with John Kasai. Maybe a bit of contact. See who grabs that. Looks like Chow gets it by 0.02 of a second. Jack Mundy finishes 8th. Pete Thicket comes across 9th. Reidinger to work his way 10th. We give drivers chances to finish up here, and we will see if we can grab your podium finishers here momentarily for some post-race interviews. Great finish though. Great battle. The end there. Looks like we are waiting just on Reed Gibson, so we'll give him a few moments. Exit the car debrief, celebrate that feature race win. Drivers are entering their 10-minute intermission warm-up between the two. Try to give them all a minute. Give Gibson just another minute. If not, we will grab Ziegler and Gibson or Nick Beaver. All right, let's grab our third place finisher, Jared Ziegler. Got with me our third place finisher in tonight's feature event, Jared Ziegler. Jared, we saw some contact between you and Jack Mundy right there at the end. Last lap of the front stretch coming into turn 1. Tell me what happened from your view inside the cockpit tonight.
Yeah, it's a huge draft heavy track down, especially down that front straightaway. That you gain so much time down the front straight. So I was trying to once he got by me, I lifted to try and get behind him for draft to get back next to him, and he was just going so defensive on the white line. I'm like, well, I I mean, it's kind of risky move, and I didn't want contact with him. Of course, I was trying to make him go wide in turn 1. He was going to push his brakes on when be the turn, but uh, sadly we made a little bit of contact, and he spun out, got wrecked from it. So I want to say sorry about that. He still finished P8, but he definitely deserved a at least a top 5 finish that entire race. So sorry to Jack on that, but yeah, it just hard racing. I mean, him and I were both going for a podium, and neither one was willing to give an inch. So things happen, and hopefully we can move forward. Hopefully he can get a good redemption in the sprint here.
We saw a couple drivers elect to come in early for their green flag pit stops, other drivers waiting towards the later stages of the feature race. What were your thoughts in terms of your pit strategy? Did you feel like it served you best tonight's feature race?
Absolutely. We had a pretty fast car, of course. Got a podium, so We got that, but I don't know. The pitting early, uh, I moved up so quickly. I was planning on pitting early. I qualified like 14, 15, something like that. So I was planning on pitting early, just get clean air, and just because sector 3, you lose so much time if you're behind someone, especially if they're even just a slight bit slower than you. You just lose so much time. So I was planning on trying to pit early, but since we moved so far forward, uh, if I pit early, I just get right in the mess again. So I was like, oh, I'll just run as long as I can and keep the clean air that I got. So I don't know. It worked out best for us, and happy on that end.
Oh, with that third place finish, that's going to put you starting off 10th in the sprint race, right back in the middle of the field. We saw some contact there off lap one, kind of in the middle parts of the field in that feature race. Tell me what's your plan to try to avoid that contact with the aggressiveness that the sprint race brings and work yourself towards the front in quick fashion.
I just need to do the same thing I did in the feature. I moved from 14th to 5th in one lap. So if I can just do the exact same plan as I had, I mean, I'm starting a little bit farther forward. Hopefully, I'm on the right again, where I'm on the inside turn one, so nothing washes out into me there. But hopefully, I'm over there. But I don't know. It just keep it clean, keep nose clean, and I'm sure I can come out with some solid points here. That's gonna be the goal today.
Absolutely. Anybody you want to send a quick shout out to or thank you before I let you go finish your final preparations for the sprint race?
Absolutely. You got Norman King, Mustard Seed Racing, Antonio Bianchi, and League Zero, of course. Team Goon Squad. We got Toyota sponsoring our truck, or not our truck, our car today. Engine manufacturer for the season. Of course, we have Racing for Children's as well. They're a childhood cancer charity. If you want to donate to them, please donate to their website. They do a lot of good things over there, so trying to help raise awareness on that. Other than that, thanks for you broadcasting, and looking forward to this, watching this later, and hopefully I can talk to you later too.
Best of luck. We look forward to seeing you up near the front for the sprint race. Was your third place finisher, driver number 57, Jared Ziegler. We're going to grab our second place finisher, Nick Beaver. Got with me our second place finisher from tonight's feature race, Nick Beaver. Nick, we saw you avoid the mayhem early on that started there. Quickly move yourself through the field into second place. Tell me, what was the key to navigating through that off those treacherous first couple laps for everyone?
Yeah, the key was to learn my lessons from the past two events. I don't think I made it more than 2 or 3 laps in both of them, and that was due to wrecks that I could have avoided. I never did. So I was playing it super safe in this one, and I guess it paid off. Just trying to take it nice and easy. You know, in iRacing, people generally don't check up for wrecks, uh, just because there's no cautions, so they try to take advantage of it. But this time I did. I think that paid off.
Certainly looked like it. Saw you try to chase down Reed Gibson, try to grab it with a little bit of pit strategy there, pitting a little bit later. Did you feel like that gave you an advantage over the drivers that pitted earlier in tonight's race, or do you think maybe pitting somewhere earlier might have helped you a little bit?
Um, I think I was kind of by myself towards the mid to end of the race. At that point, I was catching lap traffic and I wanted to pit before their arrow affected me at all. So there wasn't really no strategy to make or break track position. I just wanted to make sure I got enough fuel in it because a podium is a pretty nice feeling after the last couple weeks.
Certainly, great job on that. Fortunately, it does put you starting in 11th, back in the middle of it. We've known how these sprint races can start out with the limited amount of laps and the crazy amount of intensity. What's going to be the key to try to survive that and see if you can make it 2 races in a row with a front finish?
Yeah, at this point, I just want to try to get as many points as I can. So I'm not going to push too hard. I'm make up for points without pushing hard, if that makes sense. I don't want to get myself in trouble. I don't want to ruin anyone else's day. I just want to keep it clean. And if I get sixth, that's great. Even if I get eighth, just to get some points back, I think that'll make for a good night.
Absolutely. Anybody you want to send a shout out to? Thank you for letting you go finish those final preparations for the sprint race.
Yeah, Brandon and Sam, they were hanging out with me during the race, so hello to them. It looks like Brandon's gone, so farewell. But thanks, guys, for hanging out. Looking forward to the next race.
Congratulations on a great second place finish and best of luck in the sprint race and the rest of the rounds this season.
Thank you so much.
That was your second place finisher in the feature race, driver, the number 10 machine, Nick Beaver. We're going to grab our race winner for the feature event, Reed Gibson. Got with me our race winner in tonight's feature event, Reed Gibson. Reed, you were able to qualify on the pole, led it almost wire to wire, sans the pit stop. Tell me, what was the key to success in keeping it out front through that entire event?
Throttle control. Yeah, this is a really tough track. It's different than Silverstone, where you're really kind of being tender on the gas. So the first few laps, just getting the tires warmed up, not taking too many risks, especially with the curbs, because a couple good curb strikes and all of a sudden your car is broken. So I definitely got a little lucky in turn one, and then just put my head down and threw down some clean laps, and result speaks for itself.
We saw Fitzsimmons trying to challenge you earlier on in the event and then ended up with a wreck. Do you feel like once he had those issues that kind of handed you a big advantage in the race, or was there anybody else that you were worried about early on, maybe contending for the lead?
Yeah, mentally it was kind of relaxing to see that I had a little bit of a gap at the start, and it didn't seem like anyone was pulling on me. I think the couple of cars behind me had a little bit of damage and just didn't have the pace. So not having someone breathing down your neck is nice, but at the same time it can be challenging just to sit out there and try to run a good pace. I definitely found myself pushing at a couple points, and I had to remind myself to just ease up, just bring the car home. You don't need to set fastest laps, although at one point I started going for it. I had a couple slides and I was like, oh no, calm down. So yeah, it was nice, but it's not just completely easy.
Well, same question that I asked our other podium finishers. This is going to put you starting 12th in the sprint race. We know that mayhem ensues in these. We know that mayhem ensued in the lap 1 of the feature race. What's going to be the key to be able to surviving that mayhem and getting yourself in a good position to come away with a second win tonight?
I think it's just head on a swivel and accepting that those first few laps, you can go for 10 position passes on lap 1, or you can prioritize staying alive, and I'm going to prioritize staying alive.
Absolutely. Anybody you want to send a shout out to, thank you to, before I let you go finish preparations for the sprint race?
Yeah, so just another shout out to the Scuderia Chicken House. Had fun with racing you guys. Lots of good advice was given throughout the week, and we're all having fun trying to do our best.
We'll look forward to seeing you run in the sprint race, and best of luck tonight.
Thank you.
Was your race winner of the sprint race, driver number 11 machine, Reed Gibson. We're going to step away for a quick commercial, get you right back for the start of the sprint race tonight. Stay tuned for more racing here shortly. We are back getting ready for the start of our sprint race. You see your starting grid on the screen again. Your top 12 inverted. So Blaine Sparling was your 12th place finisher. He's your pole sitter. Felipe Sarkis second. Reidinger third. Thicket fourth. Mundy fifth. Kasai sixth. Chow seventh. Barnett eighth. Doug Wall ninth. Ziegler 10th. Beaver 11th. Reed Gibson 12th. Going back through the rest of the grid. Getting ready to go, and we are off and rolling. He's probably going to try to take the early lead. You see Sarkis working the middle side, puts Reidinger on the right hand or left hand side. Thicket with your big mover, he moves up to second. He's going to try to take the lead away from Sparling as he works the right side. Nick Beaver, Duckwall, both involved in a wreck. Looks like more shenanigans ensuing behind. We'll grab a replay of that. Bianche and Senave with some issues. Looks like Jake Duckwall onto pit road retires early out of tonight's event. Jay Shirley also electing not to start tonight's sprint race, so Thicket jumps out to the early lead. We've got battles all behind. Side by side, Reed Gibson trying to work his way up through the field. Jack Mundy trying to recover after that late race caution in the feature event. You see Mundy, big dive in. That looks like Jared Ziegler Making contact with Mundy for a second time. He's going to take the slowdown there through there. Gibson gets away with that. Mundy somehow doesn't have too much damage, loses one spot to Soto, so he's back to 9th. Oh, and he gets spun. So he goes around for a second time. Looks like we've got Ziegler going around. See Ziegler off the track. Looks like Nick Terrell also around. Works his way. Gareth McAllister, Finley Fitzsimmons was involved in that. Lots of drivers here all involved in contact out of turn number 13. Thicket being challenged by Micah Barnett as they work their way down the front stretch back into turn number 1. We jump back up to the lead here. 12 laps in this sprint race. 30 minutes time allotment. Micah Barnett takes over the lead. Pete Thicket going to try to get toe off of Barnett, see if he can close back up. You see those two work down the straightaway back into turn number 4. They've got a almost 2-second gap ahead of Michael Chow, giving them a good advantage. So Nick Beaver, unfortunately, hearing him trying to keep his head on a swivel, get through that, just not quite able to do that. He suffers early on. Jared Ziegler also involved. Fitzsimmons, Jack Mundy all involved. Bianchi, Zainavi all on pit road. Norman King, Gareth McAllister on pit road. Lots of drivers having issues here in the sprint race. Half the laps equals more than double the intensity, and it's reared its ugly head, unfortunately. Back as Russell Soto, the 50 machine, all over the back wing. Michael Chow trying to get to Chow. This is the battle for 4th and 5th. Top 12 in this race will collect season points, so drivers outside of the top 12 trying to work their way up. Drivers inside the top 12 trying to move up, gain more points. So Peter Reidinger riding about a half second behind this battle. He's running 6th. Reed Gibson's just ahead of this. He's moved his way all the way up to 3rd in short order for lap number 3. Gibson closing down on Pete Thicket and Micah Barnett. Last time by, Gibson is about 7/10 of a second faster than Barnett. Gibson. Simmons, though, sets the fastest lap of this sprint race so far with a 1 minute 34.80 second lap. But we still got a great battle here between Soto and Chow. Chow 3.5 tenths of a second as they work their way through turn number 6 and 7, hairpin. Reidinger now about 3/4 of a second behind this, but he's got Kasai all over his back wing. We'll see 2-car battle for 4th and 5th, and a 2-car battle for 6th and 7th on the track. Front 3 a little bit ahead of these drivers. That one's starting to close down. So Micah Barnett's pulled away to about an 8.5 second advantage over Pete Thicket. Pete Thickett's going to have mirrors full of Reed Gibson, and Gibson's charging his way after starting 12th, winning tonight's feature event, trying to charge his way. He's going to work the right-hand side, not quite there on Thicket. Going to grab a toe off of Thicket, though. Front stretch, we're going to put 3 laps in the book, quarter of the way done already. Gibson works to the right-hand side of Thicket. They go side by side down the front stretch, across the start-finish line. Gibson with a slight advantage, about a wing width of an advantage. He's going to take away second from Pete Thicket. He set his sights on Micah Barnett, has about a second of difference there to close up. Battle behind. It's kind of spread out a little bit. Reidinger, Kasai, still your best battle on the track. Kasai not letting Reidinger go. 6th and 7th currently for those drivers respectively. Kasai trying to avenge some mishaps in the feature race, run a little bit better. Jack Mundy trying to recover. Rough start for him. 2 races in a row, contact with Ziegler. It's like Kasai trying to work that DHL Audi machine. In front of Reidinger, who barely clears him coming out of the chicane. Does take over 6th place. pushes a little wide there. Turn 14. Trying to pull away from Ridinger. Ridinger not letting him go yet. 30 seconds the difference. Work their way. Turn 16 back on the front stretch. Sparling also trying to close down. He's a half second behind Ridinger. Back to the front though, as a battle is developing for the lead. One lap, Gibson has cut that gap down from a full second to no seconds. Tries to work the right hand side again into turn 1. He's going to take over the lead from Micah Barnett. Barnett not willing to give that lead up yet. He continues to work that right hand side valiantly. We're going to see who's going to give going into turn number 3. Gibson's going to have the advantage, but Barnett pushing hard there. Barnett wanting to relinquish that lead. Give an easy victory to Reed Gibson here. They still continue to go side by side. Gibson with the left hand entrance into the hairpin. Takes advantage of that. Barnett going to try to grab a toe though. Thought for a moment he was going to cross over, was not quite there, so he's about a car length back from Gibson. They work their way down out of 9 into 10, 11, and 12. Little lock up there. Both drivers keep it going straight. This is allowing Pete Thicket to try to hang close as well. He's just 0.7 of a second back, so if this happens for either of these front 2 drivers, Pete Thicket can easily be there to take over the race lead. Work their way back onto turn number 16. With 5 laps in the book this time by and have 7 to go. We'll see if Barnett can try to close up to Gibson. It'll grab a toe off his rear wing. See him picking up just a couple hundredths, but it's starting to stabilize around 0.3 of a second. And Gibson thought he could pull away pretty quickly from Micah Barnett. Barnett really laying down some good lap times to challenge him. Toe pulls him within half a car length as they work their way back into turn number 1. Oh, he overshoots turn number 1. It's a bit of an late entry into 1, pushes wide. It's going to put Thicket right there now, so we can see a battle for second and third. He's doing a good job hanging with Gibson. Tried to carry as much momentum into turn number 1 and just overshot the corner entry, pushing the car way wide. See Soto working by Barnett. Pete Thicket also working by Barnett, so he's back to 4th place now with Michael Chow breathing down his back end. See if Chow can try to make work on Barnett. Doesn't look like Barnett's got any visual damage, so he might have possibly had a slowdown penalty, maybe? Not sure. Nevertheless, he has fallen from battle lead back to 4th and now sliding the entry just in front of Michael Chow into the chicane. Really trying to hustle it around the corners. Tires hot, not happy with him right now. Working way back onto the front stretch. Chow 3.5 tenths behind Barnett. We'll see if he can use the toe, try to close up. Also Soto also trying to close up to Pete Thicket. We're going to go side by side into turn number 1. You see Thicket on the right hand side, Soto working the left hand side into turn 1. Go side by side. Thicket pushes Soto a little wide. Oh, Soto gets the front wing right under the rear wing of Thicket, right against that diffuser. How they did not make contact, I am not sure, but that was great card control there. That is as close as you can get without making contact. It's all just ahead of Micah Barnett, who's now regained his composure. Cooled the tires back down. He gets back by Russell Soto, so put him back into a podium spot. He's going to try to close back to Pete Thicket. This has given Reed Gibson a substantial lead. For the halfway point here in the sprint race, he's just over 2.5 seconds ahead. You see Thicket trying to work there. Barnett and Soto going to engage back in a battle as Soto not quick to let Barnett away. He's also got Michael Chow right behind, so this is a big battle for 3rd, 4th, and 5th on the course right now. On lap number 7, just past the halfway part here tonight's sprint race. front stretch they go. See if Soto close up 0.2 of a second back. See Pickett running the right-hand or left-hand side. Barnett running towards the right-hand side, trying to force Soto to the extreme inside. Inches entry into turn 1. Soto's going to try to take advantage. Oh, a little bit of contact there. Left wheels is Soto. Right wheels of Barnett. Keep it clean. Barnett pushes wide again out of turn number 1, but he tries to get the run back to the left-hand side of Soto. He's going to try to take the inside line into turn 3. Grab the momentum there. Soto with a big run through 3 and 4, though. That also allows Michael Chow to get by Micah Barnett. So we see these 3 drivers here really engaging battle for the final podium spot. Soto trying to pull away for the moment. He's 0.9 of a second behind Pete Fickett. He has his sights set on second place here. Michael Chow gets by Micah Barnett again. They continue to swap positions back and forth, work their way into the chicane. In the moment, it's Soto, Chow, Barnett, 3rd, 4th, and 5th on track. Barnett not wanting to relinquish any spots. And he's running with Scuderia Chicken House Machine. Teammates to your race leader, Reed Gibson. Chow's still holding him off. A few drivers out here sporting those colors here. Chow leads Barnett, 4th and 5th on track, but 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th all close. Really, Kasai's only 2 seconds back, so mistake by any of these front 4 could cause problems. You see Barnett with the toe down the front stretch takes the position away from Michael Chow as they work their way back into turn number 1. Kasai just under 2 seconds back. Keep it here on this battle, though. It's Russell Soto starting to fall back to Micah Barnett. Barnett now just 0.4 of a second back. Working lap number 9 here. Next time by will be 3/4 of the way done. The sprint race. Gibson's opened up almost 5-second advantage over these 4. So he's in clear track. No traffic in front of him to worry about at all. Gives him clear sailing. Chance to go back-to-back for a 2nd week in a row. Soto leading Barnett by 0.2 of a second. Chow just 0.5 second back. It's like Fickett has a bit of an issue. That's going to draw Soto and Barnett closer to him. They're now just 0.5 second back. Barnett hustling the inside line out of turn number 13. Really trying to close up to Soto. He's going to grab toe off of him. He's trying to look to the right-hand side as they go down the front stretch. Maybe pulling out that toe prematurely. Feeling like he had enough momentum to try to get to the right side of Soto and take the pass away as they go down the front stretch. You see Pete Fickett trying to jump in front of Micah Barnett, trying to figure out which driver had the momentum into turn 1. Jumps back to the right-hand side or left-hand side, taking the line through. So just like that, Chow also pulls through, with Soto all the way back to 5th. So comes onto the front stretch 3rd, falls back to 5th, just like that. Barnett up to 3rd now. He's a 0.5 second back from Fickett. Soto 3/4 of a second back from Barnett. He gets back by Michael Chow. A little bit of a loose exit there for Russell Soto, but he still holds on to 4th place ahead of Michael Chow. And pulled away to 2.25 seconds ahead of the 3 of John Kasai. And Fitzsimmons trying to hustle his way up through the field after a back-of-the-pack start. Reed Gibson, fastest lap of the race the last time by 1:33.68. He's working his way here, lap number 10. Wide push there from Micah Barnett. Pete Fickett's falling back a little bit from Barnett, falls almost into the clutches of Michael Chow and Russell Soto. They're only 0.2 of a second back. Chow looks to the right-hand side, or Soto looks to the right-hand side. Fickett pushes way wide there in turn 16. That's going to allow both Soto and Chow to get by. Chow takes over 3rd, Soto 4th. Kasai actually takes advantage of that, goes to 5th. Looks like Pete Fickett bit of an issue. He's falling down through the field. It's still side by side between Russell Soto on the right-hand side, Michael Chow in the 66 on the left-hand side, back into turn number 1. These two going to go side by side, wheel to wheel. Oh, a bit of contact there between Soto and Chow. Soto pushing Chow out a little wide. I don't think Chow appreciated that exit out of turn number 1. Soto going to take a 0.2 of an advantage through 3 and 4. He currently runs third, trailing Barnett by 2nd and 3/4. Trying to pull away from Michael Chow. I'm sure Michael Chow not very happy with how that pass was executed there through turn 1. So maybe trying to do his best to get back to him, get back by him. Chow continuing to work the left-hand side, work their way into the chicane. Barnett, Soto pushes a little wide. Chow trying to work all over the back bumper, tries to cross over, does get to his right-hand side. Soto, though, with a big run, going to clear back by, but pushes wide there out of the exit, hits the curbing, upsets the car. This gives Chow another run. He's looking left side through 15. Gonna try to clear him, but Soto's going to have the advantage going into 16. Chow, though, trying to take that momentum up, does clear him, puts Chow into third as they go on to the front stretch. Soto going to try to grab his toe. We are on the last lap here, lap 12. Quick race here in the sprint race. Reed Gibson, massive advantage. He works his way through turn 1. Micah Barnett set himself in second. We're going to keep it here on 3rd and 4th. This is a great battle between Russell Soto and Michael Chow. Soto works back to the right-hand side of Chow, takes over 3rd place through turn 1. Chow not going to let him go. He's going to push hard, try to get back to him. Let's see who's going to be able to come away with this. Either driver wanting to relinquish that. Soto continuing to work ahead of Michael Chow. Moment has a 0.3 advantage over Chow. He's trying to close up as quickly as he can. Chow works to the right-hand side into the chicane. A bit of a slower entry, trying to set up a pass on the exit. Gonna put back to the right-hand side of Soto. We saw that move the last lap. Soto's still able to hold off Chow momentarily. They're gonna work their way on to 14 and 15. Reed Gibson, though, coming across the start-finish line. He's going to grab your sprint race. Goes 2 for 2. Barnett finishes 2nd, excuse me. Russell Soto, for the moment, has the advantage. Chow trying to grab the toe. Chow's just not quite able to do it. Russell Soto holds on to 3rd. Chow 4th. Finley Fitzsimmons with a great recovery finishes 5th. Great finish here, though, in the sprint race tonight. We saw some chaos early on, but again, another great finish. Sprint race did not disappoint at all. Give our drivers a few moments, cool down, debrief. See who we can get for post-race interviews. Saw some great racing here tonight at Fuji International Speedway. Some moments of contact that resulted in some not good finishes for driver Jack Mundy. First one I can think of taking the brunt of some pretty rough breaks. Not of his doing by any means. We also saw some wheel-to-wheel contact between Soto and Chow. Resulted in both drivers staying on track, so saw a bit of the gamut tonight. We've got our drivers here to debrief, so let's talk to our 3rd place finisher, driver number 50, Russell Soto. Got with me our 3rd place finisher in tonight's sprint race, driver number 50 machine, Russell Soto. Tell me, what was those last couple laps like battling with Michael Chow, trying to hold him off for 3rd place tonight?
Yeah, absolutely, Jacob. P19 to P3. You know, I can't really complain about that. Yeah, it was definitely a really hard race, right down till the end, but luckily we were able to keep it together. Very happy with the pace. Unfortunately, I felt like I had damage, so couldn't really push towards the end there, but overall, great race.
Yeah, we saw turn one with the advent of the very long front stretch. Turn one was a key spot for drivers to try to pick up overtakes on their competitors. Saw you kind of maybe defend the inside line into that and then push Chow a little wide. Was that by design or just trying to carry as much momentum as you could in the car, losing a little bit of grip there out of turn one?
Yeah, definitely. Turn one was certainly one of those corners you could do the over/under on. The inside line, if you carry it through, it just doesn't have a lot of speed coming out on exits. So it was definitely where I was the victim mostly this race for over/unders. But overall, it was a great overtaking opportunity in turn one for sure.
What was the key for you, mentioning where you started in the sprint race to work your way up through the field? What was the key to avoid all the wrecks that we had early on and kind of navigate yourself through that field in such a short amount of time?
Patience. Patience is a virtue. It was definitely taking it easy that first lap. I saw a lot of disaster and carnage right in front of me. I just carved through it. And overall, just having a level head, making sure that nothing would get into my car essentially.
Well, congratulations on a great P3 finish tonight. Anybody you want to send a shout out to or thank you to before I let you go celebrate that finish tonight?
Absolutely, Jacob. Thank you so much for having the stream. I'd like to shout you out first. Pleasure to meet you. Um, Usually it's James East on the broadcast booth, but we welcome you, so welcome to the league. I'd like to shout out Antonio as well for holding the league and everyone else who's here tonight, my family for supporting me, and I'd like to shout out myself, RussellSotoRacing.com. Feel free to follow my real racing. Thank you so much.
Congratulations on a great finish and best of luck with the rest of the season.
Thank you.
This is your third place finisher, Russell Soto, driver number 50 machine. We're going to grab our second place finisher, Micah Barnett, to the broadcast booth. Got with me our second place finisher in tonight's sprint race, Micah Barnett. Micah, we saw you hold the lead for a little while, and then Reed Gibson caught back up to you. You guys gave a really entertaining battle for a lap or so. Looks like you just overshot turn one a little bit. Were you trying to push it a little bit harder to keep pace with Reed, or maybe just a little bit of a mental error on your part?
Just a little bit of a mental error, I think. I know Reed's really fast, and I think we have a little bit different breaking point in line in turn one, and it just caught me by surprise a little bit, and very glad that I didn't wreck his race or my own. So he's fast. I mean, I got a treachery is about the only way I'm going to stay ahead of him. So once he got by me, there was not a lot I could do.
Well, once he got by you, you did engage in a great battle between yourself, 50 of Russell Soto, and the 66 Michael Chow. Looked like you had the pace out of the three of you to kind of work your way through past a couple mistakes. What was the key to being able to work by them cleanly and get yourself a shot at that second place finish tonight?
Yeah, I think just trusting. I mean, Mike Chow, somebody I race with all the time. Reed is as well. Russell, I've raced with quite a bit. So you can, and Pete Thicket as well. So you can trust all those guys and trust that everybody's going to do the right thing. I think it really gives you, it removes the stressor having to worry about unexpected things happening that you couldn't foresee. So.
What section of the track did you have that maybe was your favorite section tonight, or did you feel like it was your best spot to try to take advantage of another competitor and maybe put a good move on them tonight?
For some reason, I think I do well in the first sector, and I guess everybody struggles kind of in the last sector, and I was having more trouble than normal in the last sector, but really fun track and car combo. I think it produced some really good racing, at least from what I saw.
Certainly did from our perspective as well. Congratulations on a great second place finish in the sprint race. Anybody you want to send a shout out to or thank you before we let you go for the evening and celebrate that second place finish?
Yeah, thanks. Shout out as always to Team Goon Squad. Great broadcasts. Really enjoy watching those. All my Scuderia Chicken House teammates, and my wife and daughter for letting me play race car driver. That's it.
Well, congratulations on a great second place finish in the sprint race, and we wish you best of success with the rest of your season.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
That was your second place finisher, pilot of the number 59 machine, Micah Barnett. We're going to bring in our race winner. He goes double-double again tonight. It's going to be driver of the 11, Reed Gibson. Reed, Feels like it was only a few minutes ago I was talking to you. Put it back in victory lane again tonight. Did exactly what you talked about, navigating through the field. What did it take to get through on those first couple laps, put yourself into third with a chance at the win?
Driving in the mirrors. It's kind of like we said. I tried not to make any big lunges or anything, and just hold my line and stay in what I thought was a safe location. And I could have done a little bit better than that, but going into that chicane, I remember looking in the mirrors and seeing someone locking up, and did a little bit of a jink to dodge it, and I think I got away with a little bit of contact. So other than that, once you got to the first couple laps, it was just real good racing. Micah and Mike and Russell were all really quick, so it wasn't a given that I was just going to breeze past. So just took some work putting in some good laps. It was especially difficult because I hadn't really driven behind anybody all evening. So getting into the draft and again just being patient, waiting for my moment, and put in good laps. That's all you got to do, and having a pretty good sprinkle of luck helps as well.
Yeah, once you got up to Micah Burnett, he put up a really good fight with you, kind of contending on non-preferred line through a lot of the corners. Did you feel like maybe you were running like 90% trying to run with him and just kind of save it, or was he just being able to push hard in other areas that we hadn't seen drivers succeed at tonight so far?
Oh, Mike and I did a lot of practice this week, so I know that he's pretty much as fast as me. We were trading fastest laps, so the one thing I did realize though is that we had a little bit of a different style in a couple corners, especially into turn one. I tend to brake a little bit earlier and pinch it off, and he tends to go a little bit later. But on aggregate, I think on his best lap and my best lap, it's not that far apart. Race pace was definitely close. So using the draft to catch up on the straight and make a move, and then just kind of just waiting it out throughout the rest of the course. I mean, this is definitely a course where you can send it, but you're going to run out a lot of momentum, and it's I think better to just put pressure on the driver in front of you and wait for them to make a mistake and capitalize on that than to force a mistake.
Absolutely. Once you were able to grab that lead away from him, that did set you up with clean racetrack, something that you didn't see too much of in the feature race. Tell me, how did that change your pace or your perspective once you had that clean track in the sprint race compared to the feature race with some lap traffic that you had to deal with?
Yeah, so I definitely put my head down as soon as I got into P1 and try to build out a little bit of a gap because you never know what the guys can do drafting behind you, and luckily they started battling back there. So once I had a couple second gap, I kind of calmed down, but I did see that the fastest lap was up for grabs, and somehow I wasn't even really trying that hard, and I somehow pulled it out. So it kind of just proved to me that you probably drive your best at this track when you're not driving flat out, but driving just under that limit.
Well, congratulations on going back to back tonight again. Anybody else you want to send a shout out to or thank you to for what you go celebrate your double victories tonight?
Yeah, so just shout out to the other podium winners for having a good race. Everyone was really fair, and I had a good time, and looking forward to next week.
Congratulations on a great earned victories tonight, and we look forward to seeing you the rest of this season.
All right, thank you.
Was your race winner of the sprint race as well as the feature race tonight, driver number 11 machine Reed Gibson. So we'll pull up your results here from tonight's sprint race. Reed Gibson again grabbing the victory. Micah Barnett finishing second. Russell Soto third. Holding off Michael Chow, who finished fourth. Finley Fitzsimmons was able to rebound after a very bad start, suffering bad luck in the feature race, able to finish fifth. John Kasai sixth. Peter Reidinger seventh. Felipe Sarkis eighth. Blaine Sparley ninth. Michael Fairchild in 10th. See the rest of the finish there's on the screen. Scroll back through the rest of them. Had a great race tonight, both in the feature and the sprint race. A little bit of carnage at the beginning, but overall drivers able to keep it clean. And we saw a lot of great side-by-side battles, drivers swapping positions back and forth, working left and right through the corners and overtaking on multiple occasions. So great driving by all these drivers, provided for some very exciting racing here in round 3 of the League Zero Racing Series. So want to thank all of you who tuned in tonight. Glad to have you all on board. Looking forward to having all of you back here at the same place, same time next week. So again, on behalf of Team Goon Squad and the League Zero Racing Series, the premier Formula 3 iRacing League, my name is Jacob Fescanen, thanking you all for tuning in, and I look forward to seeing you all back here next week. Have a great week, everybody.